I've been seeing a lot of videos recently of foreigners that are traveling to China, and I even talked about this in a previous video where I was talking about how China is being exposed to being a really great place because these foreigners are going and filming. But one of the things that I've noticed
is that many people only go to the standard places. Most people just visit Beijing, Chengdu to see the pandas, Shanghai, and maybe they go to the south to see Shenzhen.
Yeah, or Chongqing is super popular right now, and people are going there to see the futuristic All the Lights. We've even seen it. It's really cool. And it's a lot of fun, but those are very standard it's kind of like a loop. And all these videos are showing pretty much the same thing, which is cool, but there's so much more to China than just those 3 or 4 big cities. And so we wanted to talk about some of the kind of off the beaten path, kind of the fun and cool things that you can do. And that's why I brought Yvonne into this video because she's actually done more cool things than I have, because she had a couple of opportunities that we'll talk about in this video that I was working and I didn't have time to go on, and she was able to do it. So we have about 5 five unique
places all over China, from the northwest to the south, to the east.
So let's go ahead and get started with our very first unique experience. And this was one we did right before everything got shut down. And it was in Songpan. And it was really cool because we went horseback riding. And I'm not much of a horse rider, I guess. I don't know what you even call the person. A jockey?
No, you're not running.
No,
Amazon.
I'm not much of one. I didn't grow up with horses or anything. You did.
I did, yeah. When I was young, I was horseback riding for 5 to 10 years maybe, for quite a long time. So I'm familiar with horses. I like it, and I really enjoy horseback riding, and I always drag Miguel out.
Yeah, so it seems like every trip that we go on our honeymoon and to this trip, Yvonne's always trying to book these horse adventure kind of treks. And this one in Songpan was really cool. It was a 2-night?
It was a couple of nights and I think 3 days on a horse.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 nights camping, and we would go through different areas, go to a lake. It was close to Jiuzhaigou, that area.
Yeah. And the experienced horseback rider over here, she fell off her horse.
Yes.
Like, we were on the side of this mountain. It was a very small path. And we were with a family, because it's like one of those group tour things that you book. So we were with a German family. They had 2 small children,
Yes.
I think under the age of 10. I think they were like 8 and 6 or something, or 9 and 7, somewhere around that age. And the 2 parents, the mom and the dad. And then we had 2 guides.
Yes.
And then it was Yvonne and me.
So really a nice small group of people, really.
I think there was about 8 horses, maybe 10 horses.
I think they had an extra one, to carry all of the luggage, like the tents and the sleeping bags and that kind of stuff, and the food. So we had just barely taken off, and we were going on a small path, mountain ridge on the side.
It's funny now, but in the moment it was terrifying.
Yes. And we were just going, and there was something on the path.
Like a plastic bag or something,
Yes. And the horse in front of me, or actually the horse I was on, stepped on it. It made a sound. Maybe the sun was like blinding it and like reflecting, and it got spooked, and it made a funny jump, and I was not ready for that jump.
Horse went up.
And
she
Yvonne,
went off.
I went down like really hard on my bum. It was like real blue for a couple of days and super painful.
Yeah, but luckily you didn't get hurt. And that kind of brings us to the partner that we're with on this video, and that is Safety Wing, because they have a travel medical insurance. And luckily, like I said, you didn't get hurt. But that situation, and later on we'll talk about it too, because something else happened on that trip. But that situation is really scary.
Yes.
And, if you don't have insurance, which for people from the U.S. like myself, we have a weird relationship with insurance because it's not mandatory in the United States. And I've been resistant for any type of insurance basically for a long time because I grew up without insurance. But
where
You?
Me, like I'm from the Netherlands. Like in the Netherlands, we almost tend to over-insure things. We have insurance for everything. I'm not gonna list all the things that people would insure. So yeah, I'm always like nagging you, like bugging you.
Yeah.
Like when we go on a trip, it's like, hey, you should get some traveler's insurance, so you're covered because I have one, but he doesn't. And yeah.
So luckily you didn't get hurt on that, but the partner Safety Wing actually provides a pretty good, pretty comprehensive travel medical insurance, and they cover 180 countries and regions, and they also have like insurance for these types of things.
Yes.
So if you're doing kind of extreme sports like horseback riding, they will cover you for that, and it's only a few dollars a day.
Yeah, it's only a couple of dollars a day, and then you're fully covered, and they respond really quick to you when you have a situation. And the nice thing is, because you were talking about, later on something else happened. So later on, we were going through the bushes, like through the forest, really.
It was really just up a mountain.
Yes. And, the horses were excited and stubborn, and the little kids that were with us, with the German family.
They were inexperienced, so they don't know how to control a horse. I'm not experienced. I didn't know how to control my horse.
And these horses just want to go wherever they want to go. So this horse decided to go literally through the bushes because it thought, well, I can easily fit under it, not realizing it also had a kid on it that didn't know that to duck down and how to sit. So it just got swept backwards.
Yeah, the branch hit him in the chest, toppled him straight back, and then he fell off, and he almost hit his head on a rock. Like, it was so terrifying.
Yes.
And then the parents got really, nervous about that because, their kid fell off the horse. But the great thing about Safety Wing and this travel medical insurance is that if your children are under the age of 10 and the adult gets the package, gets the insurance, then they are covered also.
Yes.
Yeah, which is actually really great for families, I think.
I think so too, because then you don't have to worry about getting your children insured because they fall under your package.
Yeah. So that was our crazy trip to Songpan.
Yeah.
And although our trip was a little wild, I do think it's one of those remote areas that if you are traveling in China, if you have the opportunity to go somewhere else and see something more unique, then you really should, because eating hot pot in Chongqing is great, but everybody's done it. and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but if you have an extra day or two, getting out of the big cities can really make a difference. Which brings us to our next story, which is your journey, which you did from Xi'an to
Urumqi.
Urumqi,
yes. A couple of years ago, I was invited to go on a trip with a group of other people to travel from Xi'an all the way to Urumqi, part of the former Silk Road, which was a really great adventure. We took trains, we had a rental car that we drove around with, we went into the sand dunes, we're on camels as well, riding camels, and that was really an amazing trip. I saw some really unique places, got to spend some time with a nomadic family there, but with the car, there was a lot of things going on. Like the driver that we had, the guy driving us around, didn't really worry too much about using his phone while driving, and just used the Baidu Maps, like the navigation system that most people use in China. And at one point, it kind of sent us off-road through almost like a field, like a farming field like we're sitting in now. And yes, the car was not ready for that. It was a big car. So we got stuck in a ditch, basically.
Right, and so when you're in the middle of nowhere and your car is broken down and you might have to hike it a couple kilometers in the middle of nowhere because literally it was a field.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is where insurance is so important, and this is why we partnered with Safety Wing for this video, is because we do think it's important. And even me, after all these years, I've finally been convinced because, there are issues, whether it's just walking on the sidewalk or walking anywhere. You can fall off and break your ankle or something, or if you're riding a camel again, or if you're in sand dunes. So we had another really cool adventure we'll talk about in a bit about sand dunes. But that trip for you was really pretty cool.
It was a really unique experience. And yes, I know I was with other people, which made it a lot easier, so I didn't have to plan all of it myself. But you can go on that trip and go to those places by yourself without a tour group. And the landscapes there are just amazing. There's so much variety. Like we said, we had like sand dunes, but there's also really lush green mountains and
the Rainbow Mountains too.
Yeah, those two. And views as far as you can see, and there's just nothing there. It's so empty, which is really cool to drive through those landscapes and see it changing every hour.
And if you don't rent a car, or if you can't rent a car for whatever reason, the high-speed trains take you pretty much everywhere too. And so you have a couple of cool shots from when you were on that trip from the high-speed trains out the window of just these beautiful fields of flowers and stuff. And I think that it's really important that when you're traveling somewhere that you try to find something more unique, because again, like I'm saying, there are really cool places in China, and I think people just don't get to them, especially foreigners. If it's your first time in China, you might miss it. And some people maybe will never go back and they'll just think, oh, it's just big cities. And that's really not the case. There's really cool places that you can visit. And speaking of really cool places, the next one was actually in Beijing. So if you are doing a Beijing trip and you do want to see the Great Wall.
Which you do, because...
Yeah, because you're there. So of course you're going to see it.
Yeah, you're there. This is one of the main
draws
of the country.
Yeah, Great Wall of China. You got to see that. But there's different ways that you can see it. The standard way is to get on some kind of tourist bus and get dropped off and follow somebody with a little tourist flag saying, go here, go here. You feel rushed. If you are a little bit more experienced, you might hire your own driver and go out and have more time. But if you really want something unique, something much cooler, something that you can tell your friends about, there are opportunities to go camping on the Great Wall.
Yes, and that is a thing that we did. I don't know, maybe I direct you out again.
I'm sure you did.
Too. Yeah, because I'm the one who drags us around to see cool places. So yeah, what we did, we took a bus out to the Great Wall, and then we started hiking. And this is not not the places you go to when you visit Badaling or Mutanyu, which are the most popular places to go to. This is completely remote and unrestored parts of the wall, so it was really, really steep hikes up and
just
climbing.
Yeah, we
on the
climbed
rocks.
A couple of times, and it's just like broken rubble essentially. And you have a big backpack because you got to bring your camping gear because you're going to camp on the Great Wall.
Because there's no horses there.
And there's no horses there, so you have a probably 25, 30-pound backpack, 15 kilos on your back plus your own out of shape body. Because many people aren't that great for climbing up mountains, and the steps are, they're big steps when there are steps.
It's not easy. So that is another thing that we did. Yeah, then you hike for the majority of the day, and at the end of the day, you get to a more even part of the Great Wall, like a watchtower, where everybody goes find a place to put up their tent. You set up your tent, and then there is like a simple dinner, and then you spend the night there. And the next morning, you hike back.
Yeah, you hike back down. And again, I actually got hurt on that trip. I twisted my ankle. And luckily, it was just a small sprain. Nothing. I didn't need to go to the hospital. But it was raining on the way down. And, it's one of those things. And in the moment, it's kind of miserable. But you look back and you're like, actually, that was a really cool experience. And again, that could have turned out very bad for me because I'm the type, especially back then, who didn't have insurance.
No.
And even now, I'm sometimes reluctant. I'm much more on board with it. But again, this is why we partnered with Safety Wing for this video, because we want to kind of
stress the importance of having insurance, and because then you can do those things with a more peace of mind. You don't have to worry as much about getting hurt, because if you do get hurt, then okay, I have a good coverage. I can just call them. They tell me where to go. There is no...
There's no stress, essentially. And like you were saying, good coverage, it covers up to $250,000 of medical costs. So that's really, something really, really bad is going to happen to you. That's going to cover pretty much everything that happens, especially if you were to sprain your ankle, that's bad enough that you can't walk. Or if like for me, I was limping for 3 days after, because I'm also stubborn about going to the doctor because I don't have insurance. But I was, for about a week, I was like, oh, my ankle hurts. Whereas maybe I could have gone to the doctor, had it checked, and things would have been maybe better. Maybe at least, I mean, even medicine sometimes, I've had a weak stomach, and whenever you're traveling in another country, we often eat street food and try different things, and that will make your stomach upset too. And, our most recent visit to Vietnam, this is just about travel now, but when I was in Vietnam, our last major trip, I got a really bad stomach ache. I had to go buy medicine, and so those are times when it'd be nice to have insurance, because if it's more...
Yeah, if you do need to go to the hospital and see a doctor,
then you're covered.
Yeah, then you're covered. Then you don't. Then you would also not be hesitant to go to the doctor, because often you are.
Because I think it's going to cost me too much money, and am I going to want to spend the money?
Yes,
because I'm also cheap. But
hiking on the Great Wall is really something that I would recommend, especially if you have limited time and you can go to places like Xinjiang or Yunnan, where you can visit Songpan and go horseback riding in the woods.
Yeah, I would say
that's super close to the city. It's maybe 2 hours away, and it's easy to do for 2 days.
Yeah, and you don't have to spend money on a hotel for the night. Yeah, because you're in a tent.
And it's a really unique experience. You see the Great Wall from a different
sunrise and sunset.
Yeah,
and to camp on it, because there's not that many people that can say that I've camped on the Great Wall of China. Like, I've spent the night on the Great Wall of China.
And you're not with hundreds of other people. You're not crammed. It's
our group was maybe less than 30 people in all. And we had our own tent. So we had one tent, and they give you all the gear too, so you don't have to bring anything. No. They said just bring good hiking shoes if you have them. That's probably why I twisted my ankle. I had tennis shoes. But yeah, you have good shoes and you go for a hike, and it's really unique. And then that brings us to our last kind of story about kind of unique adventures, and this also is about kind of outdoor adventuring, and it's in the Gobi Desert. So when we first came to China, we were here only when we first came to Beijing, we were doing a lot more outdoor adventuring and trying to do stuff. So this was back in 2014 or 15,
something like that. So quite a while ago.
We took a kind of guided tour into the desert. And the first night we stayed in a yurt, like a kind of Mongolian yurt.
Yes.
And there was a campfire, there was barbecue, there was, archery and all the fun stuff that you do. And then the next day we took a car into the desert, and we spent one night in the desert, and then the next day we woke up and took the camels back. So it's like a 3-day trip, and it was a lot of fun, but there was dunes, so we were sliding down on dunes.
Yes.
Which is dangerous, but fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, but also risky, because you go down real fast, and then you get all the sand, and
and again you could tumble and fall. Just hiking up those dunes, because it's very uneven. Again, hiking and going outdoors and doing these types of things, it's important to have insurance. That's what this whole video is about, kind of. Other than the unique places that you can go and see. And so this one in the Gobi Desert was really cool. Not horseback riding, but camel riding was part of the trip. And again, if you're coming to China and you don't know what to do, look into kind of the cooler things, because, again, Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Chengdu, and
Xi'an, Terracotta Warriors, they're all really cool places too. But like we've been saying, there are so many other places that you can get to that not everybody goes to, and then you can really feel... I would say the less traveled places. You can get a different feel for what China's really like, especially outside of the big cities. Because it'd be like if you go to the United States and you go to New York and Los Angeles and you miss the Grand Canyon. It's like, what's the... it's like there are really cool places here in China, and I think that's what we're trying to stress in this video, is take a little bit of time to search for them, because they are out there, and our coolest experiences of all the time that we were living there were the ones that weren't in the big cities. We enjoyed the big cities, but the coolest, most memorable experiences are the ones that we talk about and we share with our family and friends when they ask, about our life in China. We say, oh, these are really cool places. Zhejiago, Zhenjiajie, the Gobi Desert, horseback riding in Songpan. Even though in the moment we were stressed, it was still one of the coolest things that we did. True. And like the unique ones, and meeting local people away from the cities who show you a piece of their lives and what their lives is like. That is really, yeah, those moments really stick with us, I'd say.
So the point is, if you go to China, look into some extra things that you can add into your itinerary. It can be 1 day or 2 day, but it will be much more rewarding in the end, and a cooler story that will stick with you in, you know, years to come when you talk about your China trip. And also do it with peace of mind. Get some travel medical insurance. Something like Safety Wing is who we partnered with this video, and I think they do a pretty good job of providing coverage. And
it only costs you a couple of dollars a day.
Yeah, so it's not expensive, and it can save you from a huge medical bill if something bad was to happen. So I think it's more like you're buying peace of mind than anything else. Because even like we talked about, on all these trips, nothing bad happened that we needed to go to the hospital, but that peace of mind is very valuable in my opinion.
I'm glad you changed your opinion about that after all those years.
All right, so I'm sure we missed many of the cool places, especially with the Chinese audience that we have on this channel.
Yeah.
Tell us what we missed and where you think foreigners should go if they have a little bit extra time in their itinerary. Put a comment below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out Safety Wing's website and figure out what plan is best for you when you're traveling overseas. And we will see you in the next video.